All right. In fact, moments before Bhavna was arrested, Bhavna reported on how Punjab cops had reportedly surrounded her with an apparent intent to prevent her from attending the public function. Little, of course, did she know then that the might of the state will be unleashed on her in no time. This piece to the camera by Bhavna is an indicator of how things were to take a very drastic turn. Take a look at this P2C, which she had recorded right before that arrest.
शॉर्ट्स बना दो यार, ये लेडीज भी सिविल्स में। मैं वॉक थ्रू कर दूँ इस पे? हाँ चलो मृत्युंजय। कुछ ही देर में अरविंद केजरीवाल, जो कि दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, और साथ में भगवंत मान पहुंचने वाले हैं लुधियाना में मोहल्ला क्लिनिक का उद्घाटन करने के लिए। और यहाँ सिविल्स में आपको बहुत सारी महिलाएं दिख रही होंगी, यहाँ लोग दिख रहे होंगे। ये पूरी एक टीम जो तैयार की गई है ताकि हम इस एरिया से आगे ना बढ़ पाए। और आप ये देखिए किस तरह से यहाँ पे घेरा बना दिया गया है, और साथ ही बहुत देर से हमारे ऊपर निगरानी भी रखी जा रही है टाइम्स के जितने भी रिपोर्टर हैं कि वो इस जगह से आगे ना बढ़ पाए। तो आप ये देखिए किस तरह से यहाँ पर इस पूरे घेरे को तैयार किया गया है। इस वक्त सीएम अरविंद केजरीवाल और पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री भगवंत मान का काफिला आप देख सकते हैं।
किया था पूरा
All right, we just saw, of course, that piece to camera which Bhavna was recording obviously shows that she was also suspecting that something was about to happen. Very obviously, in that recorded piece, Bhavna saying and very obviously and openly telling her cameraman that she felt that someone was keeping an eye on them and that they were not allowed. They were being blocked by, of course, AAP party men from covering that event which Arvind Kejriwal was attending. In fact, we'll open this up for a discussion really about what this means for freedom of expression, the freedom of press in our country, with a panel of esteemed guests. We are being joined by Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP. Also joining us is R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist. We also have Ramneek Maan, political analyst with us, and Dr. Sumant C. Raman, political analyst, also with us. Joining us is also Hakim Rizwan Elahi. He is also a political analyst. Before I come to all of you, gentlemen, I'd first like to go across to my colleague Madhav. Madhav, this is an obvious case of misuse, brazen, of course, misuse of law and power by the Aam Aadmi Party government. Very obviously, in that piece to camera, which our colleague Bhavna was recorded, we can see she was telling her cameraman that she was anticipating, some sort of a backlash by the Aam Aadmi Party government. Very obviously, she says that, they're not allowed to go anywhere close to the event. First, it was blocking, then it was physical intimidation, and eventually it turned into an arrest.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, when the state misuses its power, it becomes increasingly apparent from the behavior of individuals. And that's quite clear, because it's not only her, other reporters who were sent at the spot were also being pushed out of that particular spot. It's very clear that Times Now and Times Now Bharat were being targeted very clearly by the powers that be as far as the Punjab government and the Aam Aadmi Party are concerned. Now, this raises some very serious and disturbing questions. That the job of journalists is to ask questions. In this particular case, the reporter was doing exactly that, and in fact just covering that particular event. In the case of Sheesh Mahal, clearly questions have been asked that have made Mr. Arvind Kejriwal extremely uncomfortable about his hypocrisy and double standards, because he took a position of austerity when he came to power, when he rode into power, in fact questioning the extravagance of then Chief Minister of Delhi, Sheila Dikshit. And now, what has Mr. Kejriwal been reduced to? He's doing exactly what he promised not to, and therefore Times Now has and will continue to ask those questions of propriety. But what the government, what the police has done in this particular case is quite disturbing, because if there has to be, or there is an incident of a traffic accident that has taken place, what then justifies the SC/ST Act being imposed used over here, invoked over here. The question is that even if there is a traffic-related issue, it is the driver of the car who is held responsible and not the people, unless they are, clearly found violating any kind of rule. In this particular case, they have claimed that right after the accident, the victim was allegedly abused on caste lines. How would anybody who's traveling on the road know even the caste of another person who's traveling in another vehicle? They are complete strangers, and that's why the circumstances that have been put forth over here are quite laughable. But what is not laughable and an extremely serious issue is the chilling effect that such kind of incidents would have on the issue of freedom of speech and media freedom in a country like ours, where it is clearly protected by law. Journalists in exercise of their duty are pretty much allowed to ask questions, and if this kind of brazen manner, the law is violated or misused, because the SC/ST Act is brought in for a particular reason. It's not brought in for it to be misused against journalists in this particular manner, as clearly appears to have happened. And not just Times Now, the Chandigarh Press Club and several other media organizations are coming forward to condemn this kind of heavy-handed action.
Well, absolutely. You rightly said, Madhav, as far as, this entire incident is concerned, the arrest of Bhavna and the entire Times Group crew is concerned, many unanswered questions, of course, are still remaining. There is, of course, no word as usual from the Aam Aadmi Party. But Shehzad Poonawalla, sir, if you could just join us here, what do you have to say about, this unfortunate incident which has taken place in Punjab? End of the day, it's an obvious crackdown on the freedom of press, on the freedom of speech. Also, it's coming, days after we exposed the so-called splurge which the Aam Aadmi Party, the Chief Minister of the party, the Chief Minister of Delhi was obviously indulging in. Seems to be an obvious backlash really in the background of Operation Sheesh Mahal. What do you really have to say about this arrest, and also about this stoic and interesting silence coming in from the Aam Aadmi Party side?
Look, I'm not going to mince any words here, and I agree with what Madhav just said. This is nothing but a display of brutal power of the state, the police acting as an extended arm of a political wing of a party, the emergency mindset on display that criminalizes questioning leaders who are in power. It is almost like criminalizing journalism, and this is an assault, and a chilling assault, on free speech and freedom of expression and information. And therefore, you have to see the circumstances. There was a build-up. First, your reporter Rakesh was targeted, then Himanshu, then another reporter, and Bhavna is arrested. Like Madhav rightly pointed out to the circumstances, how would she even know the caste of the particular person, even if you assume there was an accident? Secondly, the cops did not have their identity badge. Thirdly, no male cops are there while arresting a woman. Fourthly, no woman can be detained post-sunset. All of these are illegal in all their circumstances, and therefore, this is nothing but a vindictive action. Aapka badla for the Sheesh Mahal expose. Nothing else can be concluded from these set of events and circumstances. And therefore, I call upon the Editors Guild. You know what troubles me is that the NCW has taken cognizance, but where are the champions of free speech? Where are those who say free speech ke liye we will return our awards? I only see the likes of, say, Ramnik Man, and I see our Raj Gopalanji, the stalwart journalist. But where are the champions of free speech in the Editors Guild? Don't they have any concern for Bhavna's family? So, this is the convenient hypocrisy on display.
Fair enough, and that's a valid point which you raise, Rajagopalan. If you would like to come in here, sir, we have the Chandigarh Association of Journalists which has condemned the incident, but Editors Guild, many others yet to come out openly and condemn this incident. End of the day, it isn't just about one journalist or one channel. It is about muzzling, the freedom of speech, muzzling the voice of the media in the country.
The country is facing an immense crisis. It is high time that center government should intervene to release these, young journalists. I have put in 40 years, as Shehzad Poonawalla has given me a very and praise for that. My understanding is Bhavna should be released at once. Mr. Kejriwal, आपको सत्ता का नशा चढ़ गया है शायद. And second thing, Kejriwal must release the so that freedom of press. And second thing, they will cripple the system. There are many ways how politicians do, but in the garb of India against corruption, now Kejriwal is doing an onslaught on the journalism. My understanding is Man Saab, the Chief Minister of Punjab, who has been a comedian, and now he knows the press relations. He knows the working of a journalist. Therefore, both the chief ministers, high time they read it. Apart from that, Shehzad Poonawalla asked about the Editors Guild. Shehzad, that has become defunct. Defunct Editors Guild. Editors Guild is full of only anti-Modi, slogans they raise, not pro-Modi or not pro-journalism. The Editors Guild has become an ineffective organization. Editors Guild, there is no editor. There are only old editors are there. Now, Navika Kumar has done lots of stories.
Right.
And Navika Kumar has done extremely lot of stories about Sheesh Mahal. They are taking a badla. It's a Farsi FIR.
All right, let me come in on this, and let me put this question across to Dr. Suman Raman. Dr. Suman Raman, there are some very, very disturbing questions and very disturbing precedents over here that would be said if this kind of an incident is allowed to happen. Because this is not just about one particular party, and one particular state government. This kind of legal provision can be misused, any time by any political leader, and this kind of case can be filed against any journalist for that matter. Dr. Suman Raman.
Listening very patiently for the last 20 minutes. I don't see anywhere the following facts being put across. And this is not just the police version. It has been extensively reported by the print media also that A, there was a road traffic accident and the vehicle in which your reporter was knocked down a lady. Now, following that, now for that alone, the driver is responsible, no issue. The next argument is that after this, two people got down from the car. Allegedly, one of them was also your reporter who got into an altercation with the victim. Now, this is what is point number 2 that has been reported extensively. Point number 3, which has been reported extensively, and this is very interesting. Apparently, the Punjab police tried to work out a compromise. Please read the media reports which say repeatedly the Punjab police tried on the spot, tried to work out a compromise, but that victim was adamant about filing a police complaint. Now, this is really what the large majority of the print media has reported. Now, what do you want the police to do? Did the police organize for the accident to happen? Did the police organize for the altercation to happen? Did the police force the victim to file a complaint? And what do you want the police to do now?
With this argument, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There is a series and there is a history to this. The history to this is A, what has happened as far as the Sheesh Mahal expose of Times Now is concerned. B, the series of harassment incidents that have taken place against Times Now's own reporters, beaten up at Jantar Mantar, beaten up at different locations, and now finally being arrested. What is there, sir, what is there before you to prove that this individual or this particular circumstances are not completely foisted? This is a very bizarre argument that you're putting forth, Mr. Suman Raman, and very dangerous because you are essentially arguing for governments to throttle the media, throttle the free press of the country, break down constitutional provisions which allow for freedom of speech and media freedom in this country. And that is why I'm not going to allow this, because you are setting a very dangerous precedent. I want Shehzad Poonawalla to come in now and respond to this. Shehzad Poonawalla, a number of hypothetical questions being put forth here by Suman Raman, because clearly he is not understanding or refusing to even acknowledge the background of what has happened.
Madhav, if I were to take what Mr. Suman Raman is cherry picking, then I was to believe that Navika sent a car of journalists. That car of journalists suddenly found a victim who was of a particular caste. It ran over that so-called victim or brushed across her car. Then, without even knowing who that victim is, the reporter got a sapna as to saying some words which are derogatory to her caste, allegedly. I mean, does this even add up? And what makes the police not follow the protocol? Can you have a woman detained after sunset? No. Can you not wear your identity badge? No. Can you do such kind of imposition of laws in such cases? No. Can you take a hold of a journalist and prevent her from actually doing her job, which is journalism? No. And what is the series of instances that have taken place just before this? You beat up Himanshu, you used your bouncers against Rakesh. Are you discounting that? So Mr. Suman Raman, who is very well averse with